Connecticut Governor Dannel Malloy joins me from Hartford now. So you have taken in these refugees that Indiana's governor doesn't want and clearly would have made feel unwelcomed. Why did you do that?
Well, you know, this is America, and we are a place of immigration. I mean, except for a very small portion of our population, everybody else came here for a second chance. I met a family yesterday, a nice young man, a handsome guy, was a shopkeeper in homes. His wife, lovely person, you know, taking up English, learning it. A 5-year-old son who was born in Homs but had to leave before his first birthday, has been in a refugee camp in Jordan for 4 years. Remember, Homs were the people who actually sided with us in the war. They were part of our team. And we have the most exhaustive process to bring people to the United States. It's 12 to 24 months of questioning and interviewing and bringing together whatever records can be assembled in a refugee situation. But it's constant contact with these folks. And they were ready to go to Indianapolis. They would have been great citizens of the Hoosier state. Instead, they're in Connecticut, and I hope they stay in Connecticut.
And yet, 2 of Connecticut's Democratic congressmen, of which there are 5, voted for this bill that would make it harder for Syrian refugees to come here.
Yeah, you know, it does on paper, at least. I wouldn't have voted that way. I know these folks. They're good and decent people. You know, their explanation is, as long as 2 people sign off on the process, that's all it really will take. And maybe they're right. I just think it's bad to let the terrorists think they won. I mean, I don't believe in saying to the terrorists, you're going to change the behaviors of the American spirit, of the American people. We're going to stop being this nation of immigrants because you did some terrible thing in Paris.
When we're talking about this bill in Congress, a lot of those who supported the bill say that they don't want to ban Syrian refugees from coming here. They want to enhance the screening. What's your understanding of how intense the scrutiny is of refugees that the United States accepts into her borders?
Well, let's just go over the numbers. 23,000 people have been recommended by the UN for the United States to consider bringing to our country. Of that number, 7,000 were found by our government to be worthy of additional review. So a whole bunch of them didn't get additional review. Of that number, 2,000 has come to the United States. That's it. And by the way, these are folks who are our allies in the fight. These are folks who were tortured by the Assad regime. These are folks who've been singled out by the ISIL component in that country. These are, in some cases, people who've been raped as well as tortured. These are people who've been threatened to be sold into slavery. You know, America has never turned its back on its allies, and I can't believe that we will. And I hope that this process in Washington will lead us to a place where we don't, for the first time, turn our back on our allies.
The image of that toddler lying lifeless on a beach compelled so many people to action. The video that we've seen of families in Syria holding the bodies of children who have starved to death because Syrian militants have cut off any access to food is heartrending. What do you think has changed where those images don't have the power to compel compassion?
I think a combination of the shock of these brutal attacks in Paris, and a political firestorm. You know, Governor Schneider last Saturday or Sunday said, well, maybe this is something we should do. Maybe we should change our view of refugee status in the United States. And before you knew it, 30 Republican governors had signed on. Before you knew it, the Speaker, who I think is probably a good man, probably wants to do the right thing, got on that bandwagon in the wrong direction, and really wants to throw, 60, 70 years of American history and participation in a great review process out the window for a political gain. And I just think it's a bit of an American tragedy as opposed to a Parisian tragedy.
Connecticut has a history of open arms and embracing those who are trying to flee violence. In the Vietnam conflict and thereafter, Connecticut accepted roughly 180,000 Vietnamese refugees, almost that many who fled the Balkans in the 90s. Is there a limit to how many Syrians Connecticut would accept if other governors stick to their guns and try to make it difficult for them to settle in those states?
Well, we should take our own fair share and maybe even then some. And what I want is a Connecticut and a United States that remembers its past, who we are and what got us to where we are, which is this love of liberty, this love of freedom, never turning your back on someone who needs your help. That's just not who we are in Connecticut. And until recently, I didn't actually believe that that was who we were in the United States.
Connecticut Governor Dannel Malloy, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you.